Business with a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness. Business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve, Ramona, and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast.
One. Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramona. I'm so excited to have you join us today. We developed this podcast to explore the idea of doing life and doing business with a purpose, and that being a servant's heart, to serve daily. The impact and the difference you can make somebody's life, or a lot of people's lives, is magical. We also brought guests on there going to motivate you, inspire you, and educate you with that purpose. And it could be a story, could be what they do, could be their product, could be so. But we're so excited to do that. And this guest today is going to talk about the mind, which I love talking about. We need to fix that more today than ever. The other thing is your call to action, audience. I want you to think about who you're going to serve, how you're going to serve yourself and others today, and what impact you create today. Again, we're jumping mindset. What's your mindset? I get people calling me, email, I saw heard your podcast and I waited a month. Well, don't wait a month. Listen to this great podcast. Go serve somebody. If you need help, reach out to me. I'll give you a million ideas to figure out how to do that. And I want to thank my incredible sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Imagine being a community of extremely highly successful business entrepreneurs and owners who are building a thought leader platform to help grow your business, but also to impact and change the world. For more information on Pantheon Alliance, just reach out to me and I'll get you all the info. With that being said, we're, as I said in the monologue, we're going to talk about mindset. And what I love about my guest today, I always ask their superpower before the show. Don't usually mention this, but it's resilience. It's not talked about a lot. In the military, it is, because I have a lot of military guests, but in the civilian life, it's not talked about a lot. So we're going to start there, but let's welcome our guest, Andrew Thompson. Welcome to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart.
Thanks so much, Steve. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me on today.
I'm fired up. Let's start with resilience, because that's a mindset. It's a powerful one. Why is that your superpower? How can you translate to others?
Well, resilience for me is a key component on your path to success. And success is about anything, right? It's about doing, achieving your goals in business or sport or your personal life or whatever it is. And sometimes success is just getting through your day. So we don't know where that begins, but having resilience is a key component to kind of getting you to that goal, whatever it might be.
Stick-to-itiveness is another, I never say that right, but audience, you get what I'm saying. It's part of resilience. I get people telling me, and I'd love to get this answer for you. Okay, I was resilient. I had this obstacle. I passed the obstacle, goal, whatever that is. What's next? And how do I deal with the next resilient opportunity?
Yeah, it's so true. I mean, there's never really a process in life that doesn't include some setbacks, failures, and mistakes along the way. So, that's the first thing that you've got to learn to be able to be resilient through, right? To be able to get back on track as quickly as possible. So those things are always going to be part of the equation of trying to get to where you want to go in your life, whatever that might be. So, you've got to learn how to overcome adversity. And adversity isn't fun and it isn't easy. And being resilient and developing your resilience, the thing I should say about resilience is that it's a skill that you can develop. It's not like you're born with resilience or not. That's something that you can improve as you go along. And, one of the key things that I like to identify for people who want to improve their resilience and their ability to get through adversity is the first thing is it's such a key component. It sounds kind of negative maybe when you first hear it, but it's just anticipating that it's not going to be easy. So in your process of developing this podcast or running your business, you've had your hard things along the way. But if you walk into that not anticipating that it's going to be hard and challenging, that you're going to feel like quitting at times, then you may end up quitting. So you won't be resilient. But so by anticipating that there will be challenges along the way, that is really the most fundamental key thing about starting to develop resilience in your life. And then from there, you can get more specific and granular and ask yourself, well, what are the things that might happen in this process? Like from my perspective. So I've written a book. It's called The High Performing Mind, and I'm trying to get it out there in the world. And, there's good days and bad days and mistakes and failures. And I try to learn from them as I go along. And that's all part of the equation. So by anticipating certain things, well, you're going to have days where your sales aren't very good, or something that you put out on social media kind of flops. And just knowing that is part of the process, and that you've got to learn from those mistakes and try to do, make adjustments and try to do a little bit better next time around. Those are key kind of ways to think and mindsets to help you through that process that also increases your resilience, And then during those really challenging times, I was telling you a little bit off camera that I went through a pretty crazy near-death experience in 2016, so those things can blindside you, and having resilience to make it through things like that is really critical. Just knowing that you've been through hard things before and you can get through hard things again. So there's a lot of little things you can do, some positive self-talk, recognizing that as bleak and difficult as something seems in the moment, that you will get through that. There will be better times on the horizon, even if it's like totally not apparent in the moment.
Trauma is such a great lesson, great teacher, but I don't have to go through your 2016 trauma to learn. You tell me, you coach me, you give me piece of advice. Hey, this is what I did. Let's see if it works. That's why I love having guests like you on the show, because audience, you can learn from this, learn what he just talked about, and not have to go through that.
Exactly.
It's so powerful. Let's jump into the book. I love the name. It's a high performing mind, correct?
That's right. Yeah.
Two big words, performing in mind. I want to hear more.
Yeah. So, the reason it's called that is because, our mind dictates our experience, and the stronger our minds, the more capable we become. And so a high performing mind is a mind that makes the most of everything that happens to it, right? So a person who is not a high performer really struggles through the things that come along in life, the times that people say things that hurt their feelings or rock their worlds a little bit and make them overthink things. Like that's just one small thing that can happen. And, we talked a little bit about adversity before. So there's lots of things that can happen in life. And when you have a strong and capable mind and you're high performing, then you can make it through those situations a lot more, not just efficiently, but successfully, and you're happier through that process, and you're living a more fulfilling life. So high performing isn't just a thing reserved for athletes and business people. It's something that anybody can become or develop. And for me, my perspective and what I share through the book are all the skills that people can develop to start having a high performing mind and then enjoying their lives more. So there's a lot of different tools. I go through the 12 attributes of a high performer, and it's actually structured like that. So the first chapter takes you through identifying your purpose and what's important to you. What do you truly want? And then it moves through giving you your first skill that you're going to need to do that, the ability to spend time every day creating that reality that you want, that thing that you want. It's not going to just happen, right? We're not also lucky to put up a picture on Instagram and have 1 million followers. Like for the rest of us, the other 99.9%, there's a process involved, and it takes a little bit of discipline. And so I help people develop their baseline level of discipline so that they can put that effort in on a daily basis. So there's a few different ways we do that. And then, of course, as I mentioned earlier already, the resilience piece is so key because, you're going to end up quitting pretty early on in that process because it is going to get hard. So knowing that is key. And then you move through certain mindsets that will really and habits that will really advance your ability to succeed. Like if you have the habit, like one thing that, you asked me earlier, what are your superpowers? Well, one thing that I was blessed to have a father who taught me to always do my best. So from a young age, my dad was like, go work as hard as you can and always do your best. And that habit, whether I'm sweeping a floor or like while I was competing in sport, trying to be the best I could there, or at work, trying to give a customer the best possible experience, always doing my best is the mindset and the habit that I cultivated over a lot of years before that to be able to bring that to people. And when you have the habit of always doing your best, like first of all, you get better results, but you also have people who are a lot happier with you because they know you're trying, you care, that you're really trying to give them the best experience possible. So, and it also leads obviously towards, higher performance, better results, more successes in those success defining moments of your life. Like in that interview, you get the job instead of not getting the job because you prepared and you did everything you could to be at your best, right? So it is such a critical habit. And then obviously you build from there. And so those are the first 3 or 4 attributes of a high performing mind. And then, you go on from there.
Yeah. And be the best you can is such a powerful statement, because I could say I want to make $100 million this year. My chances are probably 99.9% that I'm going to do it. So I'm going to be defeated if I don't. But if I do the best I can to my goal or dream of 100 million, I hit 1 million, pretty darn happy. I love that, because anybody can achieve that.
Yes.
Be your best. Your best is different than my best. There's no scoreboard on that. And I tell people all the time, get better 1% every day. And that's what you're saying. Just get better and be moving forward. I love that. You have a professional sports background we talked about before the show. How's that helped you write the book and coach?
Well, it was critical for a lot of reasons. First of all, the book, before I went through the health crisis that I went through in 2016, would have been a much different book. It would have been geared towards like professional athletes and, executives, basically. But going through what I went through in 2016, I learned that everything that was going to be in the book, which is everything I learned as a professional athlete and a high performance coach, is what helped me get through, a time of incredible crisis where I nearly died. A number of times I was hospitalized. I was bedridden for 4.5 months, 22 hours a day. I didn't even have the strength to go downstairs for my 3-year-old's birthday at the time. So it was incredibly debilitating. It took me over 1.5 years to get back to a full day of work and over 5 years to get to, relatively normal life. I always have to be a little bit careful with exercise and stuff like that. But so yeah, these things happen in life, right? And I just wanted to mention one thing. You talked a little bit about performing at your best, or always doing your best. Well, part of that also is like you can improve what your best is, and that's when you understand how to perform at your best, which is something that I learned as an athlete. That obviously is a big part of the book. You do get those better results. So that's a key thing that's a part of the book towards the end as well. Like obviously you got to be able to get through adversity and all those things, but the icing on the cake is really not only are you trying your best, but you're also performing at your best. So you don't have your average performance most of the time. You end up having your best performance most of the time. And that's really key. So long story short, everything that I went through in my life, life as a professional athlete, or even before being a professional athlete, to a high performance coach, those skills and tools are in the book as foundational. And those same skills and tools are what got me through and out of that incredibly difficult time. I had to go through a process, like everything else I had done, and I was prepared for that. And not immediately, honestly, like I went through obviously a time when I didn't have the ability to do it. There was, you grieve when you go through these difficult situations for everything you've lost. I wasn't even able to support my family. So that took a lot of adjustment. But as you move through that process, you have to shift your mind from everything that's going wrong to what positive actions can you take to extricate yourself from that situation or achieve your goals. So ultimately, it's the same thing. And so you start identifying these things. And in my case, I went to, a lot of specialists and doctors, and nobody was really able to solve my problem. So I had to eventually find my own way out of this. And that involved diet. So I had to become very attuned to my diet and develop a diet to kind of heal my condition and slowly walk myself out. So I had to go into the process, identify positive actions I could take, focus on those, and work on them daily to get out of the situation that I was in. And so all those things, sorry to carry on here a little bit.
Go ahead.
All those things are in the book because, like I said at the beginning, when I first wrote it, if I wrote it prior to that experience, it wouldn't have been geared to everybody the way it is now. It can definitely connect with a lot more people because more people can relate to the full spectrum. Not everybody wants to be a top level CEO or professional athlete or whatever, and that's totally fine. But you do want things, you either want to be a great partner in a relationship, or you want to, succeed at work, or you want to be a great parent, whatever it is, we all want things. And that's what a high performing mind is designed to help people accomplish what they want and to enjoy their lives more. Essentially, that's what it comes down to.
No, and it does. And I love what you added to be your best, because it's a scale, and don't do this, audience, but if you're at 50 and that's being your best, practice, skill, coach, mentors, get you to 60. can I be your best is better, and you'll make more money, you'll be a better athlete. Thank you for sharing that, because there's no ceiling on it. And
Yeah.
that's hope and faith that people have. All this you're talking about just lights me up, because it's a servant leadership. It's the servant's heart. What is your definition of a servant leader?
It's a great question. I mean, from my perspective, a servant leadership is always doing for others. And you asked me at the beginning at the show about that, not that exact question, but a servant's heart and how have you served. And when I think about it, that's been my entire motivation, my whole life. And I just find it motivating to want to do for others, because pleasing people and having that positive feedback or helping people through a difficult time, like that's what really inspires me in life. And I think in terms of leadership, when you have that mindset of doing for others, your heart is in the right place. You care. People feel that. You're willing to make more effort. That effort translates into better experience for other people. They enjoy their experience more. They want to come back. They like you more. I mean, there's so many things that happens when you show that care and concern and desire to make other people's experiences positive.
Feel works so on both sides so much, because when I serve somebody, they're happy. Maybe I gave them a referral or a tip, whatever, but also I get to feel it too, because I'm joyful, because I might get an email, text, whatever. Hey, thank you, that worked. I appreciate your time, or thanks, whatever. And that's exactly what a servant leader, and it's not about them. When you hear an executive, a business owner, an entrepreneur struggle with an obstacle, what's one common misconception that you hear that they can do to fix not the right word, but move forward?
Well, I think one thing that we have to be careful about when we do encounter a problem in business is trying to just get rid of it. Okay. So that's not the best solution. I think my entire business career, I was an executive in the hospitality industry. It was always about the long term and the long game, essentially, and trying to solve for that. So like, I wasn't just going to try to get something off my plate. Obviously you have to do that sometimes, but when a problem comes along, I'm thinking about, like, how can I resolve this forever and to the best for everybody involved. So by having that mindset, you're going to probably get better results than if you just want to get it off your plate because it's a hassle. And then honestly, it's an easy temptation, right? Oh, let's just deal with this, get rid of it. But if you could take that time and that care to do it the best that you can, thinking of that long-term benefit, not only to yourself, for yourself or your organization, but for your customers or whoever it is that you're solving the problem for. I think that's really the best approach.
I like that. COVID taught, especially the restaurant industry, ways that they could change forever. Like, I know a couple of friends outdoors now. They didn't have outdoors. Like, oh, I did the outdoors, it was safe. Well, I'm just going to keep it there. And they've increased their revenue because now they have more seats. I never would have thought of unless the obstacle COVID came in and did what it did. What is the future of your not your coaching, but future of you and this mindset and having this high performing mindset?
Like, what's the future for, like, where I'll go with it?
Where you go and what you're going to do with clients that you work with?
Well, I think that the key thing for me is I want to communicate to everybody that anybody can do this, that anybody is capable of improving their circumstances by identifying sort of what they need to improve or change, and having certain mindsets and habits and insights into kind of their minds and how it works, that they can really make lasting improvements to their life. So that's really like my core message. So what I'd ultimately like to see is, the book has been picking up in sales and people are really enjoying it. It seems I'm getting some good reviews, which I'm really grateful for. And I want to continue to spread that message. And that's why I stopped by on podcasts like this and have a great conversation with you, that hoping more people will become aware of it. And, and I'll continue to do that, obviously, and continue to put videos out there and get my word out and, spread the word as much as possible. So that's really my short-term and my long-term goal right now.
That's beautiful. You have any messages you've received from readers about your book that would be very poignant for our audience?
Yeah, I mean, one of my the most touching reviews that I've read on the book was someone who wrote that it really reminded him of all the things that had kind of made him successful in life, and that he learned a lot from the book and that found it very helpful. But what really touched me was that he's like, he loved the book so much that he wanted everybody to read it. And he went out and he bought 5 copies, one for each of his sons. And I thought that was, wow, that really was touching to me to hear that it impacted somebody like that, and that he felt it was helpful and that could help the people that he loved most. So, that's really the pinnacle for me to hear that. And, that's what I hope for when people read the book, that they have a positive experience. Obviously, not everybody's going to connect with the messages the same way, but you can only hope. And I just would communicate to people that, these things are kind of tried and tested. I lived it. And then I've brought many people through that, the program, the High Performing Mind program, people who've been, top in the world in their sports or achieved heights in business and leadership and stuff like that. And obviously throughout my entire career, I've helped mentor people through that process. So, I mean, I know it works. It's nothing way out there. It's based in common sense. And actually, it's funny. One thing I say at the beginning of the book is, I want people to use their common sense to decide whether something in the book works for them or not. It's actually, most of it, the vast majority of the book, all comes from science. Like, it's like science in sports science and peak performance and stuff like that. Like, I did a lot of reading with that stuff when I was young, but I don't like to refer people to science necessarily. I obviously believe in science, but science is also slow moving. You got to be able to figure these things out for yourself. You can't wait for some study to come along to get you going in the right direction, right? So you got to figure these things out for yourself. So I really implore people to judge it for themselves, make a decision if it works for them or not, use it if it does, and throw it aside and look for the next one if it doesn't.
Glad you took science out of it, because I wouldn't. I'm going to read it now, but it'd be tough for me to read because science was not my, and I'm sure a lot of people out there, science was my favorite subject. Probably a lot of them were, but especially science. And, it's something that I love what you're saying about your book is you made it simplicity. It was simple. People can grab these tips and run with them instead of trying to figure out, read the chapter over and over, which nothing against those books, but when you want to help people, like you said, you want to help them fast. We're coming to the end here. Where can they find the book?
Thanks for asking. Yeah, you can find it on Amazon as probably the easiest place, is the largest bookseller in the world. So you'll find the Kindle version, the ebook, and the soft and hardcover there. You can also head over to my website for a few other things like Barnes and Noble. It's actually in most bookstores around the world, so you should be able to find it. And if you ever can't, always feel free to hit my website up, send me a note, and I'll help you find one. And also, I should mention for anybody who's listening, who's interested, on my website, you can get a free kind of sample of the book. So it goes a lot more than you'd find on a bookstore. It kind of goes through the introduction, which outlines what happened to me in 2016. And then it goes through chapter 1 and part of 2, I think. So it's a good, healthy introduction. You can get a feel for it and see if it kind of resonates with you or not.
Audience, the Servant's Heart gives out their book, their IP for free. Yeah, you're eventually going to read the book, but he's actually didn't have to give it to you, but he's giving you a taste and see if you like it. I love to end with this little improv question. So I've reserved a restaurant for you at a restaurant, table of 4. Okay. You're going to sit in one of the chairs. You have 3 empty chairs. Who would you invite, dead or alive? Why would you invite them? And what food would you order?
Okay. All right. So I'll start with my hero when I was growing up, which was Wayne Gretzky, and greatest hockey player of all time. And he really inspired me. And another hero of mine when I was growing up was Michael Jordan. So those two would have to be at the table. And I know Michael's a pretty fiery kind of guy. I'd love to chat with him and hear his mindset was incredible. So, I mean, he really went through everything, and he manufactured what he needed to get through things. And then the third person would be my dad, because he passed away not too long ago. And being able to be there with him would be a thrill, especially for the person who introduced me to those people when I was a kid. So that would be very inspiring for me. And in terms of what we'd order, well, I'm a big Mexican food guy. I love tacos. I love fajitas.
Beautiful.
So it's nothing fancy, but it is probably my favorite food. A little salsa, chips, and guacamole go a long way for me. So that would probably be at the top.
Like his book, his meals are simple. I love that. Simple is good. As the Navy SEALs say, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. And that's what you nailed it on the head. So people listening are so fired up to talk to you. How can they find you and connect with you?
So yeah, the fastest, easiest place is on my website. So okay. Andrew, D as in dog, Thompson, Thompson at, just Yeah, andrewdthompson.com, sorry. So you'll find me there, and yeah, you can contact me on the website as well, and you'll find a bunch of resources. You'll find a bunch of videos. YouTube's another good spot. I've got a lot of videos up now on my YouTube channel. So Andrew D. Thompson, you'll find me there as well. And I'm also on all the social media places now. And yeah, so you'll find me in most Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff.
Third is a charm. Another way, simple way to find them. I love simple. I'm a simpleton. Andrew, I want to thank you so much because mindset is talked about a lot with COVID. You have nailed it. I can't wait to get the book. Audience, go out and get the book. Sometimes books can change your lives. This might be the one to do it, or share it with somebody else like this gentleman with his sons. That's the true servant. When you serve them with a great book and he served his sons with the book. It's such a great story. Audience, here's your call to action at the end. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, but not for the reason you think. I believe podcast links are gifts. And let's use the example of Andrew today. You're listening going, you know what, my friend, his mindset sucks. He's not resilient. All the things he talked about, he could get help with. Well, send him this link. And there might be something in this podcast that invigorates them or gives them a change or whatever it may be. Or they reach out to Andrew. Maybe they hire Andrew. Maybe they get a tip from his wife. It doesn't matter. But any of that value that you give them, you just gave them a gift and you get the gift back that you helped your friend, family member, whoever it may be. I truly think podcast links are a gift. Treat them that way and they're going to be so powerful for you. That's what a servant's heart would do. With that being said, me and Andrew want to thank all of you for watching or listening to this podcast, and we'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Have a great day, everyone.